Is Jose Aldo a washed-up old man? In his UFC 301 the worst card ever? Before we get into that, though, if you're new here, make sure you subscribe as we have brand new videos every single week. So, Mark, with UFC 301, are you even interested in this card? And why do you think it's so poor?
You can't sugarcoat it, can you? It's a shit card. It's absolutely terrible. I think a big problem of it is where it's positioned though in the year. Because don't forget, we've had 298, 299, 300, which banging cards. Then we've got 301, which is absolutely lackluster. It falls short in every way and every sense of the word. Then don't forget, you've got 302, 3, and 4 as well.
Yeah.
Where it's positioned, it's just the ugly duckling of the group, isn't it? It's an awful card all over.
Yeah, it's a terrible card. It's genuinely awful, and you're so right. It is the positioning, isn't it? Because I think apart from Leon Edwards, every champion has fought already this year. No, Islam Makhachev, isn't it? I think it's them. Islam
Yeah.
and Leon Edwards, every champion has fought. And then they're fighting in the next month or so. So it's literally like, who else is actually available? None of your other champions are good to go. And then they're going to be ready to go in the next couple of months. So it's just like, this is in such poor position, isn't it? And I think UFC 300 is the big problem with this. I think it's super clear to me that Alex Pereira versus Jamal Hill was supposed to be the main event for this card because, Hill mentioned he's like, I took this on short notice. He mentioned that before the loss. It's not like it was an excuse, but he said, he took it on short notice. He was ready to go because the UFC asked him and he just did it. And it felt like maybe it was supposed to be Leon Edwards versus Bilal to main event 300 or Izzy versus Riskus Duplessis. And then we've lost those two main events, and these two slid in here. So do you think that's kind of the issue with the main event?
Well, whatever it was, this is all speculation, but I absolutely do think that they had something planned for 301. A big Brazilian card, and you're telling me that your co-main event is Jose Aldo, who's coming out of retirement, as if it's a big deal. It was fighting when last year, was it? Early last year. You think it's
Yeah.
not as if he's long awaited comeback. We've been waiting. It's not the George Foreman return after 20 years, is it?
No.
It's Jose Aldo coming back. You're like, yeah, it was great. I mean, up and down the last few, but is he really the king of Rio? Let's see who turns out for him. Because the last time that they were in Brazil, do you remember the Glover Teixeira when he retired?
Yeah. No
Like
one
let's see
cared,
how they
did they?
treat. Let's see how
Well,
he's treated.
while we're on that, let's talk about Jose Aldo. So originally, the plan for this fight was supposed to be Aldo versus Dominic Cruz, which is a fight I've wanted to see the second that Jose Aldo moved down. You've got two legends of the sport, two goats of their divisions gonna go at it. Do you think that would have been a lot more interesting for this final fight of Jose Aldo at UFC?
I think any excuse to watch Dominic Cruz get battered, I'm all in. I'm there
Oh
for.
no!
He's a dick. He's just so smug with his analysis, that kind of thing. He talks a lot
Yeah.
for someone who gets finished a lot. Yeah, well, not a lot. You know what I mean? He just gets battered around. But no, you're right. I think the name caliber would have worked
Mm,
so much better with Dominic Cruz because
100%.
he's aged as well. He's more of a just an analyst now, a commentator, but he's still somewhat active. You might see him there once every blue moon or every time Haley's Comet comes past every 75 years. He'll be fighting.
Yeah.
But I think that would have drawn a bit more attention to this lackluster card, let's face it.
Yeah, definitely. And what's interesting is Jose Aldo is not making a big return to the UFC. So what he's doing is actually fighting out his contract. So he's got one fight left. So he's not signed a new contract. So even though he retired, he clearly wants to get this done out of the way and go somewhere else. So this is going to be his final fight. And it is such a lackluster final fight, right? What a poor fight to retire on.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, if you Jose Aldo, a lot of people call him, the GOAT, if you want to call it that. You forget how long he's been around as well. You think, oh,
Long,
Aldo,
long
he must be
time.
like mid-40s or something. You're like, no, no, he ain't even 40 yet. That's just how long he's been around.
Yeah.
But the resume that he's got is unreal. I mean, look, you can play with this card as much as you want. You can say, "Oh, it's Jose Aldo," and you'll get a lot of people saying, "Oh, casuals, whatever." Let's face it, it's just a shit card. Let's
Yeah.
let's just call a spade a spade. You can't win this one back.
No, it's not a good card, is it? And it's just I'm barely interested in even watching it. But that's how uninteresting this main event is. We've not even spoke about that yet. We've been talking about Jose Aldo and who else could have fought on the card and why is this card so bad? But in the main event, we've got Stephen Erceg fighting for the title. He's ranked number 10. How does something like this even happen, right?
I think with the endless stream of rematches in this division, that's how that happens.
Mm,
People make a claim that yeah, oh, it absolutely makes sense. I don't think it makes sense. I don't think the flyweight division makes sense anymore. It had its little resurgence at the latter end of 2020 and that quadrilogy with Figit and Moreno, but now I think the time has come. It's had its day, lads. Come on, all put on a bit of beef and go up a division, and let's just scrap this one altogether.
yeah,
Who
so do you think that's the
cares,
case? Scrap this division, right?
Yeah, I honestly think that the time has come now. In that Figgy and Moreno fight, the first one that was just one of the best fights of the year, you think, how were they going to scrap this division at one stage? And now you think, right, okay. I just think the contenders, there's too few of them. There isn't that
Mm.
many in that division left. So all you've got to offer is rematch after rematch. And it just does seem like there isn't many rivalries there. There's not many names that you can pluck out and go, gotta watch this one. I think it's at its day.
Yeah, it really does feel like that. And like I've said before, like I love watching these fights. Like when these fights are on, they're fantastic. They're so quick paced, they're so technical, and I really enjoy watching them. But it's hard to be invested, right? It's like, yeah, okay, this is a fantastic martial arts fight, but I'm not entertained. Like this is not like WWE sort of like really big sports entertainment. I'm loving this. Like I'm like, yeah, fun fight. Now let's move on. So it's just hard to care, isn't it? Especially when now number 10 is fighting for the title. It just makes zero sense. And I mean, I get it. He's beat all these top contenders already. A lot of people aren't available. They're already booked up, and it's kind of like, oh well, who've we got left? Oh, let's just stick this guy in.
Yeah.
It's a bit
We need a
strange,
main
isn't it?
event. Which one? Just get the colour flyweights. They'll be all right. It's not a rematch. It's not a rematch, so you'll be able to do it, won't you? Ah,
Yeah.
I think the viewing figures are probably gonna show very clear that no
Mm.
one's really too bothered.
Yeah, definitely. Is there anything that you're interested in on this card at all?
Paul Craig. I'm a big Paul Craig fan.
Mm.
And especially since he's come down to middleweight. I know he has lost in that division as well, but I think that is the division for him. And I think if he's going to make a real run, I think this is his chance. Paul Craig's in there. Michel Pereira, is that how you
Mhm.
say it? He's always entertaining, win, lose, or draw. I'm actually more interested in those two fights than the main event and co-main combined, if I'm
Yeah.
totally honest, Dwayne.
Yeah, me too in that sense of, you know, we're UK boys and I always support the UK fights like Jack Shaw's fighting on here, Paul Craig, and like I am invested in both of those guys and I'm really interested to see what they can do. But I ain't gonna stay up at 3 o'clock in the morning to watch them fight. It's just like I'm not interested. It's not worth it. This is a Cocoa Pop card. I'm gonna watch this the day after with my breakfast. That's all I'm gonna be doing. But like, say with again talking about card placement, you've got Jack Shaw on there, Paul Craig, 3 or 4's in literally a couple of months away. Why aren't they on that card? Why are they fighting on this card? It doesn't make any sense, right?
It's hard to matchmake in the sense of where they are geographically. Let's place them all there. They usually do pull out the stops. If it's a Brazilian card, there's usually going to be at least 4 or 5 Brazilian fighters on there,
Mm,
etc., etc. But I think with especially say a UK card, there's a big resurgence of UK fighters right now, isn't there? So you think you can't win them all because it's placement of the card, isn't it? Like say the 3 or 4 one that's coming up, we're going to get quite a few on there already. And with how
mhm.
stacked it is, I don't believe, as big a Paul Craig fan as I am, I don't believe that I'll be sat there going, well, we could have had Beardew on here. It's you get the most that they can offer at the same time
Mm.
without absolutely stacking it full of fighters from that region.
Yeah, definitely. And that's true. I guess, not all American cards are full of Americans either. So I guess you don't need your every fighter from the UK to be fighting on that card, right? You can spread it out a little bit. And you never know if Jack Shaw and Paul Craig get through these cards quite quickly. Maybe we could see them at 3 or 4 in a quick turnaround, especially if they get early finishes, good to go, get them on the card, get some more money, and I get to watch them. So I'll
So
be a happy
basically,
boy.
what you're hoping for there is that Paul Craig is he has his opponent in his guard and he's getting smashed in the face in the first round, and he clutches a triangle submission win. That's what you're hoping for, because I think that's the only reasonable way he gets out of there quick.
Definitely. Paul Craig's the only guy to set up submissions by getting hit in the head, right?
Him and Charles Oliveira.
Yeah. But is there, with 301 though, Mark, I think there is that at least some interest of what if, right? Like, what if Steve Erceg, number 10, knocks out the champion? There's some excitement in that, but I don't know if it's worth staying up for, right? I can find that out in the morning.
I think you hit the nail on the head when you said it's a Cocoa Pops card. You know, you will
Mm,
just watch the highlights in the morning, sort of thing. And it's the hard thing about being a UK fan. You can't. It's hard enough to watch a fight that you're really interested in to stay up for the entire card. So when you're really not too bothered, you know, an MMA fight's an MMA fight. If this was on during the day, I'd be watching every minute of it.
yeah.
But when you're not too invested, you think, is it worth losing sleep? And the next
No.
day, not really. I don't think so.
Yeah, definitely. And I think even if Erceg does get the win here, it will likely just get another rematch. I'm not sure it'll open up that division. And it's like, well, where does it go then? It's such a shame, but it really feels like this division is on a standstill and it is time for it to finish, right? I just don't see where it's going to go. But usually when I end these videos, I say, and I cannot wait for this card, but I really, really just don't care. This is one of these fights that I'm not interested in watching, and I imagine a lot of people are as well. But thank you for watching us. If you can like, comment, and subscribe, it really does help us out.